the last question I wanted to ask you today, Shabbir, was really if I'm bringing my family or I'm coming in to see you about a real estate transaction, what can we expect from that meeting, and just a little bit about how that's going to feel, and what kind of service you'll provide.
Sure, Scott. I think what happens is when we are finally meeting up with the client, the mortgage commitments have been signed with the lender. We receive instructions as to the terms and conditions of the mortgage. We go ahead and prepare the documents, and in the meantime, have communication with the client on certain issues like insurance or surveys and maybe title insurance that may become applicable.
Mm-hmm.
So when the client comes to see us, there's two aspects that we see. Is one is the mountain of paperwork.
Yeah, we sign your life away, right? That's the yeah.
Unfortunate, but it's part of the business.
Yeah.
In recording what's happening. And the other aspect, which is I think more important, is to go over the terms and conditions and obligations of not only the lender but also of the borrower.
Right.
And I think sometimes what happens is people focus more on interest rates without looking at the whole package that you are getting.
Yeah.
For example, prepayment. Is there a prepayment allowed?
Right. Yeah.
There are some institutions that'll put it in, so you can't refinance until you sell the property.
Yeah.
So you're kind of stuck. What is the penalty, if there is a penalty for prepayment?
Yeah.
Sometimes there is, sometimes there isn't, depending on if it's a closed or open mortgage. What are the other obligations of the client?
Right.
A lot of the big institutional banks will put down in their contract that the client cannot rent the property without the lender's permission. These are things that people don't realize that they are contracting, and not that the bank or the lender will come back and call the mortgage if they do these things, but the possibility exists.
Right.
And it's what we want to do when people come to us is to arm them with this knowledge, so they are aware of what their obligations are.
Right.
And then they have a much better. Well, they sleep better.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's important to everybody. And I know that's something that's very important in my role as well, is to try and help you understand your mortgage as best you can. And the more of us that are involved in the transaction that help you do that, then really the better off you'll be. You'll be able to sleep better at night because you'll know what you're getting into. And many of those mortgages you're talking about, there's certainly a case where you can get a really, really great deal on a mortgage rate, but it's not the only important factor. Your prepayment privileges, things like portability, or how you can get out of the loan.
Yes.
Sometimes it's worth paying a little bit more on a mortgage to have those privileges set. And picking your term, it's a big trend for everyone to pick your 5-year term, because that's the one we all talk about on the news and in the newspaper, but it's not the only mortgage term out there. So
the other aspect that we always try and encourage is for the clients to ask,
yeah,
to ask as many questions as possible,
yeah,
because sometimes there are some practitioners that just don't allow time for that.
right,
Whereas I think as notaries we encourage people to ask as many questions as possible.
Mhm.
Again, that I think that's a plus for the client.
yeah. It's like more availability, and they want to hear your questions, and available by email or telephone, that
Absolutely.
sort of thing, right? So
Absolutely.
you want to create a relationship with your clients and help them with these legal issues, whether they be buying a house or something else. So
The other aspect that we run into, Scott, is that it's not only a mortgage or the fact that they're buying a property that's important. There is certain other aspects that come into it. For example, how a husband and wife are registered on title, for
Right.
example. Um, Being joint tenants versus tenants in common, which are the two forms of registration. As joint tenants, it also facilitates their estate planning.
Right.
So again, that the property would go to the survivor and not flow through the will. So, whereas if they were, let's say, two partners, two brothers or two friends who are buying a property as what we call as tenants in common and as partners,
Yeah.
it becomes very important for them to also have their wills in place,
Yes.
so that if something were to happen to one of them, that there is a process in place for their wishes to be fulfilled.
Right. Yeah. And I mean, I have to say that that's probably one of the, in my experience, one of the most overlooked parts of financial planning is your will. And I don't have a will. So it's there's many important transactions that you can give legal advice on, and you're very available for people to ask questions, and I think that's extremely valuable. So I wanted to thank you for your time today. Thanks for taking some time to meet with me.
Thank you, Scott. Yeah, no,
And,
I appreciate you coming by.
Yeah, and just so if anyone needs help from Shabbir, you can meet with him Monday through Friday morning at Granville and 70th in Marpole, or he's also available here in Lynn Valley, just behind the McDonald's. I guess we're just off Mountain Highway, is that right? Or is
Mountain Highway and Lynn Valley Road.
Yeah, and Lynn Valley Road. Yeah. So thank you very much for watching our video, and you'll find our contact information below this link. And I hope you all have a great day.
Thanks, Scott.
Thanks. All right.